So who really is buying all of the Nvidia and AMD GPUs? After we see pictures like this, you can't help but wonder what's going on, and we're going to answer that question in today's video. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Remember to subscribe and smash that like button. They say every time you do, that rack of 3080s go down by about one GPU and it flows away to a nearby gamer. So today's video, we asked the question, who is buying all of the GPUs? Now this is going to be both the Nvidia RTX 3000 GPUs as well as the newer AMD RX 6000 GPUs. Now the answer isn't quite as simple as you would think, seeing that initial picture with a rack of RTX 3080s or 3080 Ti's, whatever they are, but it certainly does play a role in what's going on now. Basically, the two biggest camps are going to be the gamers as well as the miners. Now, according to Nvidia, the gamer market, pretty much it's their core business. That's pretty much what they built their business on. That's definitely going to be the largest section of their business, the most important. They always reiterate that the gaming section is really, really important. And I think it makes sense for them to always repeat this, because when people see pictures like that of multiple GPUs, which is an obviously one, mining type of setup, they definitely get pretty upset, because they think if they can't find one GPU, how does this guy have 9 or 10 of whatever these GPUs are? So that's certainly pretty shocking. I think when you see it, everybody goes through the same process in their mind. They're like, all right, how did this guy get so many GPUs? With even stores limiting you to just one online, it's literally almost impossible to be able to get these GPUs without going through various steps. It's hard enough to get one. Imagine trying to get 9 or 10 of these. Definitely a pretty impressive feat. And then people have to think, what other channels are people using to be able to acquire such a stack of GPUs? So now when GPUs come out, it is normal, maybe for a high-end enthusiast. Some people just want a couple of different GPUs. Even me, if I see like a really cool RTX 3090 Kingpin or something like that, if I want to test another GPU like a 3070 Founders Edition, it's normal to want more than one GPU. Nothing against that. But I think where people really get upset is when they see multiples of the same GPU, pretty much just in a mining operation. If you have a couple extra that you're mining sort of at home or something like that, just on the downtime from your gaming PC, I don't think anybody's really sort of against that. I think we really have to boil down to the actual issue here that really seems to upset people, and that's seeing multiple high-end GPUs and things like this. Not even for the fact that they have the GPUs, it's like, how were they able to get so many GPUs? It seems like the game itself is unfair. If people are acquiring these GPUs through more unfair methods, the typical gamer either has to wait outside a store like Micro Center for 2 days to get one of these GPUs, or they have to be refreshing F5 to get one GPU online whenever there's a drop or something like that, or a new release. So how do people get 10 of them at a time or more? Some of these operations probably have hundreds and hundreds of GPUs. So that's really where that question comes in. Where are people being able to get GPUs where other people are not able to do the same? Now, it's always been my opinion, if you really look hard, you can find the GPU that you want for the typical gamer, but I wouldn't even know where to start to be able to get a massive GPUs like this. If you want to get a 3070 or a 3080, I'm going to tell you, go to the EVGAQ, or maybe wait in line at Micro Center, or maybe, check the Discord forums. You'll be able to get one GPU, maybe a couple even if you want, but I have no idea how people get hundreds of these GPUs, so it's obviously some other channel that we're not really aware of. Now, it comes down also to this article. This is going to answer some of that question. Who is buying a lot of these GPUs? And according to this article, the first quarter of 2021, about 25% of high-end and mid-range GPUs, and that's going to include everything that people are going after, 3060s, 70s, 80s, 3090s, AMD 6800, 6900, etc. Those are going to include pretty much all of those cards. Seems like 25% went to miners, and that roughly they estimate maybe like 700,000 GPUs with a market value of over $500 million. So that is a substantial amount of GPUs. 25% of the market, even though we're not talking about the entire 100%, is still significant where they can separate it into miners. And who knows that other 75%, how many of those people that bought GPUs and got considered maybe gamers or something like that were also using them to mine mine or were part of these larger operations. So if they say 25%, the actual number may actually be significantly higher. And this goes to explain a couple of things. First, it's going to explain all of the price fluctuations that we generally have during the last few months. Anytime you see a graph of Ethereum, you can follow GPU prices on the second hand and the scalper market as well. You can see that they pretty much go hand in hand. It makes sense. If it's really profitable to use these GPUs, people really chase after them. They pay over MSRP, driving the price up for everybody, including other miners and gamers. If the market seems to go down and it's not stable, that's when people first, they stop buying new GPUs, which kind of stabilizes the market a little bit. It's what happened during the last few months. We have seen more GPUs on the shelves, and then if it gets really bad, they'll start to sell the GPUs, which happened a little bit with recent price drops, but it certainly hasn't happened enough yet to really drop the price of these GPUs. During the last few months, where May was the peak, GPU pricing went down by about 25 to 50% depending on the GPU, but it's still outrageously high, and in many cases twice the MSRP that it should be. So that kind of answers the question, even though it's not technically 100% going to miners, but like I said, nothing against that if people want to use that for that particular purpose. I think even Linus Tech Tips did a video saying that you can use, GPUs to mine and things like that. Really not against that at all. I think where we have to draw the line is see what is fair in terms of the acquisition potential of these GPUs. If a single gamer struggles to even get one RTX 3080, how does it make it so easy that, 10 or more, and who knows how many, can go to a single person or a single corporation or something like that, which should be a fairly level playing field? That's something that also has to be addressed, I think. I don't think people talk enough about this. Now, Nvidia certainly has taken steps to make sure that at least the optics of everything look a little better. For example, LHR, the light hash rate GPUs that are coming out now, basically their stance is that these GPUs are for gamers, the core market as they say it, and the other GPUs, they're making the mining specific GPUs, are meant to go for miners. The majority of GPUs up to this point, the gaming GPUs, definitely have been used for both purposes. Now, even separating LHR, there have been some reports from different third parties that they don't have an exact timeline to change their production from the regular higher hash rate GPUs to these less performing hash rate wise GPUs. So they could take a few months and pump out as many regular GPUs as possible, because after all, they're going to be able to sell those other ones at a higher price, because you're going to have not only the gamers going after them, but they're still going to be attractive for profitability in terms of Ethereum mining, as long as that stays good, while the light hash rate GPUs are going to be known to have a more significant limitation, around half the hash power. So obviously that market is going to diminish. So obviously the third-party AIBs want to sell as many as possible. So that's going to sort of make things a little bit cloudy as well, that transition. But at least Nvidia, put in some effort, even if it is for the optics. At least they sort of differentiate what's for gamers, and they say that's the core market. And at least this is a way for them showing in a very visual way by having LHR GPUs that that's what they mean. But in the real world practice, things are a lot more murky, and it takes a little bit of time for things to enter the market and actually make a transition where the typical gamer will actually see the difference when they walk into a store or they go online and see these GPUs at MSRP. Now, it definitely is true that there's been a massive amount of gaming demand as well, and as Nvidia puts it, it's their core audience. So we don't want to take away from that and say that everything is because of mining. I just think that the mining demand is sort of the cherry on top, if you will. It's sort of the factor that makes the GPU pricing jump up really fast or go down really fast, because it's following the Ethereum pricing. And like I mentioned before, people see that change, they go crazy to get more GPUs. So that's definitely sort of the driving factor here. It's not the largest factor. Even if mining went away, very likely we would still see a big GPU drought. They would still not really readily be in stock because there's so much gamer demand. Of course, it would be eased considerably, and the price would start to stabilize at a much faster rate. So that kind of answers the question, if you will. Yes, both gamers and miners are buying GPUs. But it's possible to say that the mining section of the people that are purchasing this have a more direct, immediate, and a more sort of savage effect on the market when it comes to the price and availability of GPUs. Because if they see the price going up, they're not going to go out and buy one 3080. Like that picture showed, they're going to want to buy maybe 10 of them or more. They're going to want to buy a lot at once. So it has a much more immediate effect, even though it's only 25% of the sales, at least that they can account for. So you sort of have to view it in that more complex sort of spectrum. Even though the percentage is a little different, they're going to have a lot more immediate and quicker buying power or selling power, depending on what Ethereum is doing, while the typical gamer is going to be sort of a lot more stable buying one GPU. It's not going to have the same effect as sort of the price of Ethereum. So I think that's where the question comes down. Undoubtedly, there are many manufacturing delays that happened during the last year, many factors that happened, but the two biggest things are demand from gamers and then the more immediate and sometimes very quick demand from mining operations and people that are mining. Even though that's a much smaller section of the market, it's a market that buys a lot more GPUs a lot faster, and that's why we see these drastic changes sometimes from week to week, GPUs skyrocketing in price, then going back down. So it's definitely a very complex sort of answer, but at the end of the day, I really do think that's what's happening. So the future will depend how profitable these GPUs stay for people like miners. If that goes away, the market will stabilize considerably faster, and of course it's going to change the entire landscape. But if that is all is here somewhat, it's always going to be sort of a battle between the gamers and the miners, and of course we always have sort of the scalpers in the middle who just use it to sell to whatever to make a profit. That's just part of how the market works. It's going to be very hard to control that. The only way to really control it is just to have more stock and availability across the board. But at the end of the day, the speed that these companies can manufacture at really will dictate that, as well as the demand that's out there. Gamer demand probably is going to stay more stable after, the last year probably jumped up with people staying home, but mining demand is going to be very sporadic depending on what cryptocurrency is doing. So that's why it's very difficult to sort of predict what will happen, but the trend is definitely going in a more positive direction in general. We see more GPUs in stock. We see LHR GPUs. Definitely manufacturing has had more time to catch up. So I think in the future, certainly this isn't going to last forever. Hopefully by next year, things return to a little bit more of normalcy. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.